Okay, we are back to go ahead and finish up her face. Actually, to start her face, I really lightly penciled in about where I thought her eyes and brows and nose would go. Very barely put anything in there, following the proportions we learned in our earlier exercise when we drew kids' face proportions. And what I'm going to do now is see if I can just get in some shading here. Okay, so step one, get the proportions where they belong. Step two, have your reference photo really close to you so that you can see what you're dealing with. And now I'm going to come in with my pencil and keep it nice and sharp and see if I can get some shading here. You can use an HB, you can use a 2B, whatever you're more comfortable with. I'm going to go ahead and switch to an HB, and I'm going to start building in these shadows. Now I'm going to have a pretty light touch here, and you're going to see me going in a bit of a circular motion because that, I think, helps me blend it. Depending on what paper you're using, you might have more of a grainy texture on your paper, and that might pick up the pencil in a slightly different way, which is totally fine. And my paper is really, really smooth, so I have to be pretty careful with how I'm using my pencil so that it doesn't make lines I don't like. She's got these really cute little shadows under her eyes. Now, I've started in this one area, and sometimes what happens is if you just focus on one area, you're going to start to feel a little bit like maybe it's out of place because you haven't done the rest of her face. Okay, so have faith. I know sometimes what happens is people start over here with these cute little smile lines, and they'll say, oh my gosh, she looks really old and doesn't look childlike anymore. Well, that's because you haven't done the rest of the shading. Okay, so yeah, she's definitely going to look a little bit old if the shading is only in one spot, and it's a spot that tends to catch the light as people get older. So I'm going to build in around here. Think about this little cheek, okay? It's really rounded. We're going to wrap around that cheek the same way we wrapped around the sphere when we did our very first drawing exercise. So we'll just wrap right around there and work our way all around the face. You're going to see a lot of times on faces that there's a shadow right under the lower lip, just like that. And the main shadow is like I typically will see a shadow under the lower lip, under the nose. We'll see some shadow wrapping around the forehead right here. Now look really closely to everybody. Make sure that your reference photo, the shadows are, because I have this, my image is weirdly mirrored, so just be careful if you're following along here. You might need to put your shadows on the other side, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and get this eye. Her eyes are just a little bit different shapes, like that-ish. And I can see the little lip crease on top. Oh my gosh, she's the cutest little kid. I really like this image of her because she looks, one, she's adorable, but two, she's got 3 different types of fur on. So it's really good practice for us as we get into our children's illustration where everybody's going to need to draw fur. Okay, this is the part of the drawing where I start to refine the shape of the face a little bit. And I'm looking to see her collar, and I think I actually need that collar to be bigger, both sides. So anyway, I need to adjust that. I'll see if I have time to come back and do that. Be really careful not to do too much outlining, especially on lips. They tend not to look as good or as realistic if you draw the outlines. Instead, just look at your reference photos, see what you see. In this case, I see a shadow underneath, but I'm really not seeing too much of an outline on that lower lip. And then I've got a little shadow here. So there does tend to be shadow right here in the inside corners of the eyes. Be careful with your kids. We typically don't have a lot of shadow on the edges of the nose unless the lighting is really dramatic. And if you end up putting too much shadow there, it'll make them look a little bit more mature than they are, a little bit older. Okay, we'll put a little detail in her ears. Don't skip the ears, everybody. We really have to capture that there's an ear there, unless the hair's covering it, because otherwise it looks a little weird. Like our brain will immediately know something's wrong if we expect there to be an ear and there's no ear. Okay, see if I can lightly get a little shadow on this side to show that her cheek is so full over here. This little girl, I have no idea who she is. I've had her kind of in my rotation of reference photos for a couple of years now, and I don't know who she is, and I hope that she knows how much I enjoy drawing her. Wouldn't it be funny if one day I actually met her? She's probably 20 by now, and she's probably older. Okay, so there's not a lot of shading going on this side of the face. We might just leave it be like that. All right, let's talk about the hair. I can't stand it. She's just so cute. I don't know. I guess all kids are cute. Okay, let's talk about the hair. So same as the way I always do volumes with texture. We're going to shade this in, and I'm going to use my pencil to create the texture of the hair. I've got to get it darker, and why not at the same time start to create that texture. So you can see it's a little darker to the right, because that's where the shadows are more built up over here. And then it's a little lighter over here by where it's parted. And then her bun is, okay, so with the bun, you guys, we can do fun buns like this, and they're so quick and they're so easy, and you don't have to overthink it. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna sort of scratch and scribble in some texture, making sure I've got a range of value. I need to make sure that there's darkness, and we can dot in some darkness throughout, but overall you can see I'm keeping it a little lighter up here, a little darker over here. And same with the rest of her hair. Scratch in some texture all over, make it a little bit darker over here compared to over there. And then once you've generally got the values blocked in, take your super sharp pencil, turn it so you're the way you'd write a letter, and this is where we come in and we just hit the silhouette a little bit, give it a couple of flyaways, and then in here I can see she's got almost some little ringlets that are just flying out of this hairstyle, and I'm just going to see if I can capture those. They almost look like a little scratchy W wiggle, and I'll just pop in a couple of those. I mean, how fun is it to do hair? Like, I think hair might be one of my favorite things because I don't have to have the pressure of trying to make it look exactly like the way it is. It will still look like hair, and it'll still look like real hair, even if it's not exactly like her hair. It's like the pressure's off. Okay, so there's one side. Let me just quickly get in here, get some shadows on the other side, darken it up a little bit here, come down around her face, scratch in that texture, and get this other bun. It's really nice and dark right there in the middle. I am working my way out towards the outer edges. I want it to be completely imperfect in the silhouette. And then I will pick up my pencil and add in all those fun little details. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. And she's got these extra little flyaways here that are just kind of coming out. And I can dot in some texture throughout, just enough so that we know something's going on. And then I want to just soften her hairline a little bit too, bring that hair down in front of her ears. Once in a while, I forget to bring the hair down in front of the ears, and it looks weird if you don't do that. So be sure you get your hair coming all the way. And she's got this little guy sticking out here, and a couple more over there. Oh my gosh, I could do this all day. Okay, but you guys get the idea, all right? So what I want to see on yours is that you, okay, wait, we're not done yet. I got to do a little more on how many minutes am I at? Oh, I'm only at 8. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit more on her eyes. The eyes, notice how I am not covering the top, like the top of the eye is sort of chopped off, you'll see that. And then when I fill them in, I have to leave a little bright highlight, okay? And then the rest of it you can fill in. And even if somebody's eyes are really a dark color, I might still give a little bit of variety to the shading inside the eye. I take a little creative license right there because it just makes them feel a little bit more alive. Okay. So let me just zoom out. Now this is not done. I'll put a picture of a finished one in Canvas for everybody, but I want to work through and just add a little bit more details here. But the key idea, I think, at the very end is you need to zoom out, okay? Maybe go get a snack and come back. But when you come back, I want you to squint at her, I want you to look at her, and I want you to look at her next to the reference photo, and I want you to just think, okay, are the dark areas dark enough? How does each area relate to each other? Oh, don't forget the shadow on her neck, by the way, guys. We have to be very good about that, because look at how dramatic that is. And without it, her face will just sort of blend into the rest of her body. And remember, I made a mistake on the collar. I needed that to be bigger. But step back and then look at it and just think, okay, does it need to be darker? Does it need to be lighter? Do I need to pop anything? Come in with your 4B, and that's where you can really get some extra emphasis in some areas and make sure that the whole drawing is as dynamic as possible. We really want it to read from a distance so that it doesn't look too faded away. Okay, I hope that helps. I can't wait to see what you do. In the past, when I've done this exercise, people have really surprised themselves with what they were able to accomplish. It does take a little time, and I thank you for your attention and your focus as you're doing this. And then I'm really excited to take her and tomorrow translate her into a color version. Okay, thanks everybody. I'll see you soon.